Wake up and feel the cool air on your face. Because today can be different. If you choose it, will be. Do you ever start the day distracted, worried, or running on autopilot? Imagine 10 clear statements that steady your mind, sharpen your focus, and push you into action. I speak as someone who has learned what works and what wastes time. These phrases are simple, direct, and usable. The moment you open your eyes, they will help you claim responsibility, protect your time, grow a little every day, and refuse average. This is not pep talk or quick fix advice. It is practical guidance you can use today. Stay with me and learn how to change small habits that build real results. If you want more clarity, more energy, and stronger habits, then listen carefully and start speaking these truths. Each morning, your future begins with your next choice. Number 1, start your day by telling yourself you are enough. Every morning is a new chance to build the kind of life you want. And the first thing you tell yourself will shape everything that follows. When you wake up, before you pick up your phone, before you think about yesterday's problems or tomorrow's challenges, there is something powerful you must say to yourself. I am enough. Not in a way that makes you passive, not in a way that lets you stay the same, but in a way that grounds you in the truth that you already have what it takes to move forward. Too many people begin their day with self-doubt. They remember the mistakes of yesterday, they compare themselves to people they see online, or they begin with the thought that they are behind. And when you start with that kind of mindset, you are already defeating yourself before you even step into the day. Telling yourself you are enough is not about ignoring your flaws. It is about refusing to let those flaws become chains that hold you down. It is about understanding that even with your weaknesses, even with the challenges you face, you still carry the ability to grow, to change, to improve, and to do something meaningful today. Think about how much time you waste when you live with the feeling of not being enough. You hesitate, you hold back, you second-guess yourself, you reject opportunities because you think you are not ready. And the truth is, the only thing that makes you unready is that belief. When you tell yourself you are enough, you build courage to act. You stop waiting for permission from other people. You stop seeking constant validation. You stop chasing the illusion of perfection. You begin from a place of strength. That does not mean you will not fail. It does not mean people will always agree with you. But it means you will no longer stop yourself before the world even has a chance to see what you can do. There is a dangerous habit people fall into. They postpone their own progress until they feel perfect. They say, I'll take action once I'm smarter, once I'm richer, once I'm more confident. They live in a cycle of waiting, and they never step forward. That is the life you want to avoid. By telling yourself every morning you are enough, you break that cycle. You take away the excuse that you need to become something else before you start. You already have the seeds of everything you need to grow, and the watering begins when you affirm your worth. Think about how this works in practical life. Imagine you walk into work with the belief that you are not enough. Every criticism feels like proof that you are failing. Every challenge feels like evidence that you should quit. Now imagine walking in with the belief that you are enough. Criticism becomes guidance instead of an attack. Challenges become opportunities to stretch instead of signs you should stop. That shift changes how you carry yourself, how you speak, and how others respond to you. Confidence is not arrogance. Confidence is quiet strength. It is knowing you don't need to be perfect to bring value to the world. When you tell yourself you are enough, you build that strength. It shows in your posture, in your words, and in the way you handle setbacks. People are drawn to those who carry themselves with this kind of assurance, because it signals reliability, stability, and courage. Now think about relationships. If you walk into relationships believing you are not enough, you will always seek approval. You will settle for less than you deserve. You will tolerate disrespect because you think that is all you can get. But if you begin your day reminding yourself you are enough, you set a different standard. You will not beg for love or attention. You will not lower yourself just to be accepted. You will treat yourself with respect, and you will naturally expect the same from others. This is not easy. For many people, the voice in their head has been telling them for years that they are not good enough. That voice often comes from the past, from parents who criticized, from teachers who doubted, from failures that felt permanent. But you are not bound by those voices unless you allow them to define you. Every morning you have the power to choose a different voice. And over time, the voice you choose becomes the voice you believe. There will be days when you wake up tired, when yesterday's mistakes are fresh in your mind, when your bank account looks empty, when your body feels weak. On those mornings, telling yourself you are enough may feel false. But it is in those moments that the practice matters most. Because being enough is not about having everything figured out. It is about knowing you have what it takes to face the day and keep moving forward. Understand this clearly. Being enough does not mean being finished. You are not finished. You are not at the end. You are a work in progress, but a work in progress that has value today. When you affirm that truth, you give yourself permission to keep building without shame, without self-hatred, without constant doubt. Look around at the people who achieve meaningful success. They are not always the smartest or the most talented. Many of them began with little, but what they had was the inner decision that they were worthy of trying, worthy of failing, worthy of starting again, worthy of winning. That decision begins with the same words, I am enough. If you are struggling right now, if your life feels stuck, I want you to pause tomorrow morning and say those words with conviction. Do not whisper them as if you barely believe them. Say them with the tone you would use to declare something undeniable. Say them until you feel the strength rise in you. Say them until you stand taller, because you need to hear it. Your mind has heard enough of your doubts. It has heard enough of the criticism. It has heard enough of the comparison. Now it needs to hear the truth. When you carry the belief that you are enough, you create a foundation for growth. You no longer approach life as a person begging for scraps. You walk into the world with dignity. You treat every day as a chance to expand on what you already have, not as a desperate attempt to prove you deserve to exist. That difference is life-changing. This is a decision you make daily. You do not decide once and forget. You do not say it once and never doubt again. You must remind yourself consistently, because the world will keep testing you. People will criticize. Circumstances will shake you. Failures will tempt you to believe otherwise. That is why the practice is daily. Each morning is a reset. Each morning is a chance to build again. So tomorrow, when you open your eyes, before you check messages, before you think about problems, take a breath and tell yourself you are enough. Do it again the next day. Do it when life is going well and when it is falling apart. Do it when you feel strong and when you feel broken. Over time, those words will carve a new path in your mind. They will replace doubt with courage. They will replace fear with action. They will replace shame with strength. Your future will not be shaped by luck or chance alone. It will be shaped by the beliefs you carry into each day. And one of the most powerful beliefs you can carry is this: I am enough. Not perfect, not finished, but enough to begin, enough to try, enough to keep going, enough to change, enough to live fully today. That is how you start your morning. That is how you set the tone for your life. And when you live with that belief, you give yourself the freedom to grow without limits. Number 2, remind yourself to take control of your own choices. The moment you wake up, you face one of the most important truths in life. You are the one responsible for your choices, and no one else can live your life for you. Every decision you make, from the smallest habit to the biggest commitment, is shaping the direction of your future. That is why every morning, you must remind yourself to take control of your own choices. If you don't, the world will gladly make them for you, and you may end up living a life you never really want. Too many people hand their power away without realizing it. They follow what others expect, they let circumstances dictate their actions, or they allow fear to freeze them into inaction. The result is a life filled with regret, because deep down they know they could have chosen differently. The choice to study, to work, to rest, to start a business, to save money, to eat healthy, to stay disciplined, to love honestly, these are not random accidents. They are choices, and they are yours to make. When you begin your day with the mindset that you control your choices, you step into life with a different kind of strength. You stop blaming other people for your situation. You stop pointing at your past as the reason you cannot change. You stop excusing your inaction with circumstances. Instead, you acknowledge that while you cannot control everything that happens, you can always control your response. That shift is where freedom begins. Think about this. Every successful person you admire has faced obstacles, setbacks, and moments of doubt. The difference is not luck. The difference is that they decided to own their choices rather than surrender them. They decided to use their mornings to set intentions. They decided to act when it was easier to procrastinate. They decided to stay disciplined when distractions pulled at them. That was their power, and it is your power too. The danger of not taking control of your choices is that your life gets shaped by other people's agendas. Your boss wants you to prioritize work over your health. Advertisers want you to spend money you don't have. Society wants you to follow trends that don't matter. Friends and family may want you to fit into their expectations instead of creating your own path. If you do not claim control, you will bend to those pressures, and one day you will realize you were living someone else's plan instead of your own. Remind yourself every morning you decide what your day becomes. If you choose to waste time, you will pay the price. If you choose to discipline yourself, you will earn the rewards. If you choose to avoid responsibility, you will live with regret. If you choose courage, you will grow stronger. This is not about being harsh on yourself. It is about being honest. Because honesty is what keeps you from drifting into mediocrity. There is a weight that lifts off your shoulders when you realize your choices are yours. You no longer need permission to start improving. You do not need to wait for the perfect time. You do not need someone to guarantee your success. You simply need to choose. And once you choose, you take action, and action creates momentum. That is how lives transform, one choice at a time. Consider how this applies to health. Every morning you have the choice to eat in a way that fuels your body, or in a way that harms it. No one can do that for you. Consider your finances. Every day you choose whether to spend on temporary pleasures or invest in your future. No one forces your hand. Consider your relationships. You choose whether to build them with honesty, respect, and effort, or to let them weaken through neglect. The choices may seem small, but over time, they shape everything. Taking control of your choices also means taking responsibility for your mistakes. This is hard because it is easier to blame others. But when you own your mistakes, you gain the power to change them. If you blame your failures on everyone else, you give them the power and lose your own. Responsibility is not a punishment. It is freedom. It is the acknowledgement that you are the driver. And if you do not like the road, you can turn. The truth is, choice is both a privilege and a burden. Many people avoid it because they fear the burden. They want someone else to decide for them so they can escape responsibility. But when you do that, you also give away the privilege to design a life worth living. Real freedom is not about doing whatever you feel like in the moment. Real freedom is the ability to direct your life with intention, and that comes from choices. Every morning you should pause and ask yourself, what choices will I make today that move me closer to the life I want? Will I choose to focus on what matters, or will I get lost in distraction? Will I choose to strengthen my body and mind, or will I let laziness take over? Will I choose courage, or will I let fear rule me? Those questions force clarity. Without them, you drift. With them, you gain direction. There is another layer to this. The small daily choices may not feel significant, but over months and years they add up to massive results. Skipping one workout doesn't ruin your health, but choosing to skip repeatedly creates weakness. Saving a little money today doesn't make you rich, but choosing to save consistently builds wealth. Choosing to spend time on personal growth today doesn't change everything instantly, but doing it every day reshapes your entire future. The compound effect of consistent choices is one of the most powerful forces in life. Now, some people will disagree with this idea of taking control. They will say life is unfair and circumstances limit what we can do. And yes, circumstances matter. Not everyone starts with the same resources. But even within difficult circumstances, choice is still the key. You may not choose where you begin, but you always choose how you respond. You may not choose every event, but you choose your attitude and your effort. That is why two people can face the same situation and end up with completely different outcomes. So each morning when you rise, remind yourself, today I take control of my choices. Not tomorrow, not someday, not when it feels convenient. Today, because today is the only day you can act. The past is already written, and the future is only shaped by what you decide now. If you fail to decide, you still make a choice. The choice to let life decide for you. Picture yourself 10 years from now. Who do you want to be? The person who let excuses, fears, and other people's opinions decide their path? Or the person who stood up each morning and said, I choose? The answer is obvious, but the action must match it. Your future self is built by your present decisions. If you want a future of strength, discipline, and achievement, you must claim your choices now. The most liberating truth is this: no one can stop you from choosing. People can discourage you. Circumstances can challenge you. Failures can test you. But in the end, you decide. You decide whether to keep going or to quit. You decide whether to rise after falling or to stay down. You decide whether to grow or to stay stagnant. That is the power you carry every single day. So when you wake up tomorrow, remember this. You hold the pen that writes your story. You are not waiting for someone to save you. You are not a passenger in your own life. You are the decision maker, and every decision counts. Start with that truth. Act on it, and watch how your life transforms choice by choice, day by day, year by year. Number 3, commit to using today to grow and learn more. Every single day is a chance to make progress. And if you do not use today to grow and learn, you will wake up tomorrow in the same place you were yesterday. Life rewards the people who keep moving forward, not the ones who stand still. Growth is not an accident. It is a decision, and it begins with a commitment you make. The moment you open your eyes, you must tell yourself, today I will grow. Today I will learn. Today I will move further than where I am right now. Growth is not only about books, degrees, or training programs. Growth is about developing your mind, your habits, your character, your discipline, and your perspective. It is about becoming a better version of yourself than you were the day before. You do not need to wait for the perfect opportunity to begin. You do not need to wait for a new year or a new stage of life. You need to decide that this day matters, and you will use it. Too often, people let their days blur together. They go to work, come home, distract themselves, and repeat the same pattern. Weeks pass, months pass, and nothing changes, because they never stop to ask, how can I grow today? That kind of routine is comfortable, but it is dangerous. Comfort may feel safe, but it slowly steals your potential. You cannot afford to waste days in survival mode when you could use those same days to sharpen yourself. Learning is not limited to school. Real learning comes from paying attention to life. Every conversation can teach you something if you listen. Every mistake can teach you something if you reflect. Every challenge can teach you something if you stay open. But if you walk through your day with a closed mind, you miss the lessons. Growth is everywhere around you, but you have to decide to see it and act on it. Commitment is what makes the difference. Anyone can say they want to improve, but only the ones who commit to daily action actually do it. Commitment means setting aside time to read, to think, to practice, to ask questions, to step into experiences that stretch you. Commitment means you treat growth as a priority, not an afterthought. It is not something you do only when it is convenient. It is something you do because you understand your future depends on it. Imagine if you learned one valuable lesson every single day for a year. That is 65 lessons that would shape your decisions, your skills, your relationships, and your vision. That kind of growth is unstoppable. But it does not happen automatically. It happens because you choose to grow instead of wasting the day. You choose to read instead of scrolling endlessly. You choose to ask questions instead of pretending you already know everything. You choose to reflect instead of ignoring your mistakes. Growth is not always exciting. Sometimes it is uncomfortable. Sometimes it means facing your weaknesses, admitting what you do not know, and doing the hard work of improving. But the discomfort is proof that you are stretching beyond your old limits. Comfort feels nice in the short term, but it leaves you stuck. Discomfort feels difficult in the moment, but it opens the door to new strength. Think about how growth changes your opportunities. If you learn a new skill today, that skill may open doors tomorrow. If you improve your discipline today, that discipline may help you succeed in the future. If you expand your perspective today, that perspective may guide you to better decisions years from now. Every small act of growth adds up, and one day you will look back and realize how far those small steps carried you. The danger of ignoring growth is that life keeps moving. Whether you do or not, the world is changing. Industries are changing. Opportunities are shifting. And if you stand still, you fall behind. People who refuse to learn get replaced by those who do. People who refuse to grow end up living in regret, wondering why nothing improved. Do not let that happen to you. Decide that every day is a classroom, and you are the student who will not miss a lesson. The beauty of growth is that it compounds. The more you learn, the faster you can learn new things. The more you grow, the stronger your foundation becomes for future growth. Just like saving money builds wealth over time, investing in yourself builds a life of strength and purpose. But you cannot build anything if you keep waiting for someday. Growth is built today, not someday. Look at the people you admire most. They did not get there by chance. They built themselves piece by piece, day by day, lesson by lesson. They made a habit of growing. They stayed curious when others stopped asking questions. They kept practicing when others gave up. They searched for new knowledge when others were content with old answers. That is what separates leaders from followers, achievers from dreamers, and creators from complainers. Commit to using today to grow and learn more by setting intentional actions. Read 10 pages of a book that challenges your thinking. Write down one lesson from your experiences. Ask someone you respect a question about how they achieved what they did. Practice a skill you want to master, even if it is just for 15 minutes. Reflect on what went right and what went wrong yesterday and decide how to do better. These small actions, when repeated daily, create transformation. You may say you are too busy, but the truth is, you always make time for what matters. If your phone can get hours of your attention, then your growth deserves at least a fraction of that. You do not need hours to start. You need consistency. A few minutes of focused effort each day will change your trajectory more than hours of wasted time. The most empowering part of this is knowing that growth is your responsibility. No one else can do it for you. Teachers can guide you, books can inform you, mentors can advise you, but you are the one who has to take the steps. You cannot outsource this work. You cannot skip this responsibility. But you also cannot lose if you stay committed, because growth never leaves you empty. Every lesson you learn, every skill you gain, every habit you strengthen becomes part of who you are forever. At the end of each day, ask yourself, did I grow today or did I stand still? That question is a mirror. It forces you to see the truth. Some days you will feel proud, and some days you will see that you wasted your chance. But even on the wasted days, you can recommit the next morning. Growth is not about being perfect. Growth is about refusing to settle for stagnation. If you choose to commit, you will notice a shift in how you feel about life. Challenges will not scare you as much, because you will see them as opportunities to learn. Failures will not break you, because you will treat them as teachers. Success will not make you arrogant, because you will know there is always more to learn. You will carry yourself with quiet confidence, because you will know that every day you are moving forward. So when you wake up tomorrow, remind yourself clearly, today is not just another day. Today is a chance to grow. Today is a chance to learn something new. Today is a chance to move closer to the life I want. That reminder will change the way you approach your hour. It will push you to stop wasting time on distractions and start investing it in progress. And one day when you look back, you will thank yourself for every single day you chose growth over comfort, learning over ignorance, and progress over stagnation. Number 4, push yourself to stay disciplined no matter the discomfort. Discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. And if you are not willing to stay disciplined in moments of discomfort, you will never see the results you dream about. Every goal worth chasing requires you to do things that are not always pleasant, convenient. That is why you must push yourself to stay disciplined, even when your body is tired, your mind is restless, and your emotions are telling you to quit. Discipline is not about how you feel in the moment. It is about what you have committed to, no matter what. The truth is that most people lose to discomfort long before they lose to failure. They stop when it hurts. They stop when it's boring. They stop when it requires more than they feel like giving. But if you stop every time discomfort shows up, you train yourself to give in to weakness. On the other hand, when you push through discomfort, you train yourself to lead, to endure, and to grow stronger. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you prove to yourself that you can be trusted to follow through. That builds confidence that no one can take away. Discipline is the muscle that builds every other success. If you want health, you need the discipline to follow a routine. If you want financial stability, you need the discipline to save and invest. If you want meaningful relationships, you need the discipline to communicate and to show up consistently. If you want to master any skill, you need the discipline to practice again and again. Nothing of real value is built without discipline. The challenge is that discipline often feels like a sacrifice. In the moment, waking up early when you want more sleep, going to the gym when your body feels heavy, saying no to temptations when the urge is, studying when distractions are calling you. Those choices feel uncomfortable, but what you sacrifice in comfort now, you gain tenfold in the rewards later. The pain of discipline is temporary, but the cost of giving in lasts much longer. When you rely only on motivation, you will fail. Motivation is temporary. Some days you will wake up excited and ready, but many days you will not. If you depend on motivation, you will be inconsistent, and inconsistency destroys progress. Discipline is what keeps you moving when the excitement disappears. Discipline is what carries you through the dull, the painful, and the uninspiring days. That is why people who succeed are not always the most motivated. They are the most disciplined. Think about this in your own life. How many times have you set a goal and abandoned it when it got uncomfortable? How many diets, workouts, projects, or plans have been started with enthusiasm and dropped when they became difficult. That cycle keeps people stuck because they never stay long enough to see results. Discipline breaks that cycle. Discipline says, I will do it, not because it feels good, but because it matters. The greatest growth often comes in the moments you want to quit. When you push yourself through those walls of discomfort, you discover strength you didn't know you had. You build resilience, you build self-respect, you build habits that carry you further than talent ever could. Talent without discipline wastes potential, but average ability with strong discipline can outlast and outperform almost anyone. People often complain that discipline is restrictive, but the truth is the opposite. Discipline creates freedom. The freedom to live without constant regret. The freedom to enjoy the rewards of consistency. The freedom to know you are in control of your habits instead of being controlled by them. Without discipline, you become a slave to impulses, excuses, and distractions. With discipline, you take charge of your life. There will always be discomfort. That will never change. The difference is how you respond to it. Some people treat discomfort as a signal to stop, while disciplined people treat it as a sign they are moving in the right direction. Growth requires friction. Change requires effort. Nothing improves without challenge. If you run from discomfort, you also run from progress. Staying disciplined does not mean you ignore rest or self-care. It means you don't let excuses disguise themselves as needs. It means you know the difference between true rest and laziness, between recovery and avoidance, between self-care and self-indulgence. Discipline keeps you honest. It forces you to look at your behavior and ask, am I avoiding the hard thing because I truly need rest, or because I am running from discomfort? Discipline also requires clarity. You cannot stay disciplined if you don't know what matters. That is why goals are important. If you have a clear reason, it becomes easier to endure discomfort. If you know why you are working out, why you are saving money, why you are studying, why you are sacrificing, you can push through the moments that feel heavy. Without clarity, discipline feels like punishment. With clarity, discipline feels like progress. When you decide to be disciplined, you must also accept accountability. Hold yourself to standards that do not change with your feelings. If you say you will wake up early, then wake up. If you say you will finish the task, then finish it. If you say you will not break the rule you set, then do not break it. Every broken promise to yourself weakens your trust in yourself. Every promise kept strengthens it. That trust is priceless because it builds the belief that you can rely on yourself no matter what. Think about how powerful your life could become if you stayed disciplined in the areas that matter most. How strong your health would be, how stable your finances would look, how deep your relationships would grow, how far your career or business would go. That is the power of discipline. It multiplies over time, and soon people will look at your life and call you lucky. But it was not luck, it was the quiet, consistent choice to push yourself when it was uncomfortable. There will be mornings when you want to stay in bed, evenings when you want to quit early, moments when the temptation to break your routine feels overwhelming. Those are the exact moments discipline is built. Discipline is not proven when it is easy, it is proven when it is hard. If you give up every time you feel discomfort, you never build the muscle of discipline. But if you stand firm in those moments, you become unshakable. This commitment to discipline is what separates those who dream from those who achieve. Everyone wants the rewards, but only a few are willing to pay the price. You cannot cheat discipline. You cannot replace it with shortcuts. If you want lasting results, you must be willing to go through the uncomfortable parts of the process. That is where the real transformation happens. So when discomfort comes, don't resist it. Use it. Let it remind you that you are doing something that matters. Let it sharpen you instead of breaking you. Let it teach you that your mind is stronger than your feeling. That is what discipline does. It teaches you that you are capable of far more than your comfort zone suggests. If you want to build a life that stands out, discipline must become your daily practice. Remind yourself every morning that comfort is temporary, but results are lasting. Tell yourself that the pain of discipline is far lighter than the pain of regret. Push yourself through the days you don't want to, because those days count the most. The person you want to become is waiting on the other side of consistent discipline. The achievements you dream about are waiting for you to prove you can handle the process, not just the reward. Discipline is the price you issue to that future. And if you are willing to pay it, no discomfort can stop you from building the life you truly want. Number 5, tell yourself to value time because it will not return. Time is the most valuable resource you will ever have, and the moment it passes, it is gone forever. Money can be earned again, opportunities can come back, but a single wasted hour can never be reclaimed. That is why every morning you must remind yourself to value time. Because once it slips away, it does not return. When you carry that awareness into your day, your actions change, your priorities shift, and your decisions gain a new level of urgency. The truth is, most people live as if time is unlimited. They spend hours on distractions, days on meaningless activities, and years waiting for the right moment. They push their goals to tomorrow, their dreams to next year, and their responsibilities to someday. But someday never comes, and the clock keeps moving, whether you use it wisely or not. The tragedy is not that life is short. The tragedy is that too many people waste most of it. Think about this clearly. You get 24 hours each day. That is the same amount of time given to the most successful people in the world. The difference between those who build extraordinary lives and those who remain stuck is not the number of hours, but how those hours are spent. Some treat time as cheap, others treat it as priceless. The way you treat your time is the way you treat your life, because your life is nothing more than the sum of your days. When you remind yourself that time will not return, you stop treating it casually. You begin to see that every hour is an investment, and the return depends on how you use it. Do you spend it on distractions that add no value? Or do you invest it in skills, relationships, and habits that build a stronger future? The difference between a wasted life and a purposeful one comes down to that choice. Valuing time means setting priorities with courage. It means saying no to things that do not matter, even if they are easy, tempting, or popular. It means focusing on what creates growth, progress, and fulfillment. It means refusing to let other people's urgency destroy your focus. Too often, people let their time get stolen by demands that do not align with their goals. If you do not defend your time, the world will fill it with noise. Time is also the ultimate truth teller. If you want to know what you really value, look at how you spend your hours. Your words may say one thing, but your time tells the truth. If you claim health is important but spend no time exercising, the truth is revealed. If you claim growth matters but spend no time learning, the truth is revealed. If you claim relationships matter but give no time to the people you love, the truth is revealed. Time never lies. There is a certain pain that comes from wasted time. It is the pain of looking back and realizing you could have done more, learned more, built more, and given more. That pain is regret, and it is heavier than the pain of discipline. Regret eats away at your peace because it cannot be undone. You cannot go back and relive yesterday. You cannot undo the wasted years, but you can avoid future regret by deciding today to value time. Each day offers you a choice. You can drift through it passively, or you can treat it as a chance to create something meaningful. The difference is awareness. People who waste time rarely notice it while it is happening. They think 5 minutes on their phone is harmless until it becomes hours. They think procrastination is harmless until the opportunity disappears. They think tomorrow will be better until years slip by unchanged. Awareness of time's value wakes you up from that trap. The valuing time does not mean you never rest or enjoy yourself. Rest is important. Joy is necessary. But they must be intentional. There is a difference between rest that restores you and laziness that steals your potential. There is a difference between recreation that energizes you and distraction that numbs you. When you value time, you choose rest with purpose, not by default. You choose joy that lifts you, not escapes that drain you. Consider this. One focused hour of work can accomplish more than 10 distracted hours. One meaningful conversation can strengthen a relationship more than dozens of shallow exchanges. 1 hour spent learning can open doors for years to come. Time is not just about quantity. It is about quality. The value of your time grows when you give it your full presence. When you remind yourself daily that time will not return, you also begin to live with urgency. Not panic, but urgency. Panic paralyzes you, but urgency pushes you to act now instead of delaying. Too many people believe they have more time than they really do. They think they will start working on their health next year, building their business later, repairing their relationship someday. But the calendar does not stop. The days turn into years, and the opportunities they delayed eventually vanish. Urgency ensures you do not postpone what matters. Time is also the great equalizer. No matter where you are born, what resources you start with, or what challenges you face, you are given the same 24 hours in a day as everyone else. The way you use those hours will determine the direction of your life. That is why some rise above difficult beginnings and others waste every advantage they are given. Time is fair in distribution, but not in how it is valued. Imagine your life 5 years from now. What will you have if you continue to waste time? The answer is simple. You will have more of the same. But if you begin today to value every hour, to remove distractions, to focus on priorities, to invest in your growth, your relationships, your health, your vision, then 5 years from now you will be unrecognizable. The difference between the two futures is not luck. It is how you use your time. The discipline of valuing time also creates respect. Respect for yourself, because you honor your goals enough not to waste them. Respect for others, because you understand their time is valuable too. People notice how you treat. If you are careless with it, they assume you will be careless in other areas. If you are intentional with it, they trust you, because they see that you take life seriously. You must understand that time is not just passing, it is running out. Every day is one less day in your life. That truth is not meant to scare you, but to wake you up. It should make you ask, what am I doing with the days I have left? If the answer is nothing meaningful, then you must change, because time will not wait for you to be ready. It keeps moving, whether you use it or not. So when you wake up in the morning, tell yourself clearly, I will value this day, because it will not return. I will not waste it on trivial things. I will not spend it on regrets. I will not trade it for distractions. I will invest it in growth, in love, in discipline, in building the life I want. And when the day ends, I will be able to look back and know I did not waste it. That commitment, repeated daily, is what separates a wasted life from a meaningful one. If you live with that awareness, you will not drift. You will not settle. You will not take your hours for granted. You will live fully, intentionally, and with urgency. And when your time finally does run out, you will not look back in regret. You will look back knowing you used it well. Number 6, focus your mind on gratitude for what you already have. Gratitude is the foundation of a fulfilled life. And every morning you must remind yourself to focus on what you already have before chasing what you want. Too many people wake up each day thinking only about what is missing, what they lack, or what they wish they had. That mindset creates frustration, comparison, and a constant feeling of being behind. But when you start your day with gratitude, when you bring your attention to the blessings already in your hands, you gain strength, peace, and a perspective that fuels real progress. Gratitude is not about ignoring your goals or lowering your standards. It is about starting from a place of awareness that life has already given you much to work with. Think about it. If you can open your eyes in the morning, if you can breathe freely, if you can walk, talk, think, and choose, you already hold more than millions of people who would give anything for those abilities. Yet how often do we stop to appreciate the simplest things? The comfort of a safe place to sleep, the ability to drink clean water, the chance to learn and grow, the people who care about us. These are not small blessings, they are extraordinary. But because they are present daily, we often take them for granted. When you train your mind to focus on gratitude, your entire outlook changes. Instead of waking up frustrated by what you cannot control, you wake up empowered by what you do have. Instead of complaining about challenges, you appreciate the opportunity to face them. Gratitude is not just about feeling good. It is about creating strength. A grateful mind is calmer, sharper, and better equipped to handle difficulties. A person without gratitude is easily discouraged. But a person with gratitude can endure setbacks and still see value in the journey. There is also a deep connection between gratitude and happiness. Study after study confirms that people who practice gratitude consistently are more satisfied, less stressed, and more resilient. But you do not need research to understand this, just look at your own life. Think about the moments when you truly appreciated something or someone. Did you feel heavier or lighter? Did you feel weaker or stronger? Gratitude lifts you because it shifts your focus from absence to abundance. It reminds you that even when life is imperfect, it is still full of gifts worth acknowledging. Gratitude is also practical. It affects how you interact with others. When you are grateful, you treat people with respect, you recognize their efforts, and you acknowledge their presence. Gratitude creates stronger relationships because it shows people they matter. On the other hand, when you take people for granted, relationships weaken, resentment grows, and trust fades. Gratitude is not just a personal practice. It is a social practice that strengthens your connections and builds deeper trust with others. Every morning, when you wake up, take a moment to name what you are thankful for. Do not just think it vaguely. Be specific. Say to yourself, I am grateful for my health today. I am grateful for the chance to work on my goals. I am grateful for my family. I am grateful for the opportunities that still lie ahead. Naming specifics makes gratitude real. The more you practice, the more your brain looks for things to appreciate, and soon you begin to see blessings everywhere. The opposite of gratitude is comparison, and comparison is a trap that steals joy. When you spend your mornings looking at what others have, you immediately devalue your own life. You begin to think you are behind, avessy, or inadequate. But that is a false picture, because you are comparing your reality to someone else's highlight reel. Gratitude frees you from this trap by grounding you in your own blessings. It keeps your attention on what is real and meaningful in your life, not on illusions about others. Focusing on gratitude also helps you deal with problems more effectively. Problems are part of life, and they can overwhelm you if you only see the negative side. But when you practice gratitude, you balance your perspective. You can acknowledge the challenge while also recognizing what is still working in your life. For example, you may face financial struggles, but gratitude reminds you that you still have your health and your skills to rebuild. You may face rejection, but gratitude reminds you that there are still opportunities ahead. This balance keeps you from being consumed by negativity and allows you to take constructive action. Gratitude does not mean you ignore ambition. In fact, it fuels ambition in a healthier way. People who are ungrateful chase goals out of emptiness, hoping achievements will fill a void. But people who are grateful chase goals out of strength, knowing they are already blessed and aiming to expand their blessings. The first path leads to burnout. The second leads to fulfillment. Gratitude ensures your ambition comes from a place of confidence, not desperation. Another important truth about gratitude is that it reduces stress. Think about the times when you are overwhelmed by deadlines, responsibilities, or challenges. Your focus narrows on everything that feels wrong, and anxiety rises. But if you pause and bring your mind to gratitude even for a few moments, your stress begins to ease. Gratitude reminds you that life is bigger than the current struggle, and that you already have tools, people, and opportunities that support you. This shift in perspective gives you the strength to face the challenge without drowning in it. Gratitude is also a discipline. It is not something that happens automatically every day. Some mornings you will wake up tired, discouraged, or distracted, and your mind will immediately focus on what is wrong. That is when you must deliberately guide your attention to gratitude. It is not about denying difficulties. It is about refusing to let them control your mindset. The discipline of gratitude means you choose to start your day with awareness of blessings, no matter how you feel. Over time, this discipline becomes a habit, and the habit shapes your identity. Every morning when you choose gratitude, you build a shield against negativity. People around you may complain, criticize, or spread pessimism, but gratitude protects you from getting pulled into their mindset. It keeps your emotions grounded and your focus clear. Gratitude also makes you more attractive to others, not physically, but emotionally. People are drawn to those who appreciate life, who acknowledge others, and who radiate positivity. Gratitude makes you someone others want to support, trust, and follow. Think about the alternative. A life without gratitude is a life of constant dissatisfaction. You may have everything you once wanted, but without gratitude, you will still feel empty. You may reach goals and buy possessions, but without gratitude, they will quickly lose meaning. Gratitude is what gives value to everything you achieve. Without it, even success feels hollow. With it, even small moments feel rich. So every morning, remind yourself to focus on gratitude for what you already have. Say it out loud if you need to. Write it down if it helps you. Train your mind to notice blessings instead of ignoring them. Gratitude is not about being blind to problems. It is about being aware of gifts. And when you live with that awareness, your days take on a different quality. Challenges become lighter, successes become sweeter, and ordinary moments become meaningful. The power of gratitude lies in its simplicity. It does not require wealth, fame, or luck. It only requires attention. Attention to the blessings that are already present in your life. Attention to the people who care you. Attention to the opportunities that still exist. Gratitude is free, but its rewards are priceless. When you start your day with gratitude, you set the tone for everything that follows. You become calmer, stronger, and more focused. You stop chasing happiness as if it is somewhere else and realize it is already here, waiting for you to notice. And when you live that way, you create a life of meaning, peace, and abundance. Not someday, but today. Number 7, demand honesty from yourself in every thought and action. Honesty with yourself is the foundation of true growth. And without it, nothing you build in life will stand strong. You can impress others with stories. You can pretend on the outside, but deep inside you know when you are not telling yourself the truth. Every morning, you must demand honesty from yourself in every thought and every action. Because the moment you lie to yourself, you sabotage your progress. Growth only happens in the presence of truth. And truth is the hardest thing to face when it reflects your own weaknesses. The greatest mistake people make is not the failures they experience, but the excuses they create to avoid facing those failures. They tell themselves they are doing their best when they are not. They tell themselves they have no time and they waste hours daily. They tell themselves they want success while making choices that guarantee mediocrity. The dishonesty does not fool anyone but themselves, and it robs them of the chance to change. When you demand honesty from yourself, you strip away the excuses and see life as it really is. That awareness is painful, but it is also the starting point of transformation. Being honest with yourself is not about being harsh or cruel. It is about being real. If you want to lose weight but refuse to admit your eating habits are the problem, you stay stuck. If you want financial freedom but refuse to admit you overspend, you stay broke. If you want strong relationships but refuse to admit your lack of effort, you stay disconnected. The truth may sting, but it also sets you free to do something different. Without truth, you keep repeating the same patterns and wondering why nothing changes. Self-honesty requires courage. It takes courage to look in the mirror and admit that you are responsible for most of the results in your life. It takes courage to accept that your choices, not luck or fate, shape your direction. It takes courage to say, I could have done better, instead of blaming circumstances. Weak people avoid this responsibility and hide behind stories. Strong people accept it and use it as fuel to improve. Every morning you must remind yourself to face reality head on, no matter how uncomfortable it feels. There's a unique freedom that comes when you stop lying to yourself. Suddenly, you do not have to keep track of excuses. You do not have to pretend things are better than they are. You do not have to live in denial. You can breathe easier because you are not carrying the weight of deception. Life becomes simpler when you face it honestly. Problems become clearer, and solutions become possible. Dishonesty creates confusion, but honesty creates clarity. Honesty with yourself also prevents you from living a double life. Too many people wear a mask in public while living in contradiction in private. They say they value health, yet their habits prove otherwise. They say they value integrity, yet their actions show compromise. They say they value discipline, yet they give in to comfort every chance they get. This double life creates inner conflict, and that conflict drains energy. When you demand honesty from yourself, you align your words with your actions. That alignment brings peace, strength, and credibility. Self-honesty also means confronting your thoughts. It is not enough to act right if your thinking is dishonest. How many times have you justified poor decisions with false reasoning? How many times have you convinced yourself something is fine when deep down you knew it was not? Your mind can trick you into accepting less than you deserve. That is why you must challenge your thoughts and test them against truth. Is this thought serving me or limiting me? Is it an excuse or a fact? Is it moving me closer to my goals or keeping me stagnant? Asking these questions keeps your mind sharp and honest. Demanding honesty from yourself does not mean you will enjoy what you find. Sometimes the truth reveals laziness, fear, selfishness, or wasted potential. But facing it is better than ignoring it. Imagine a doctor refusing to tell a patient the truth about their condition. The patient may feel better in the moment, but the disease grows unchecked. Self-dishonesty works the same way. It feels easier now, but it destroys you later. The earlier you face the truth, the faster you can heal and grow. Every breakthrough in life begins with a moment of honesty. The person who admits they are addicted can begin recovery. The person who admits they are undisciplined can begin to build structure. The person who admits they are underperforming can begin to raise their standards. None of that happens without honesty. It is the gateway to change. That is why demanding honesty from yourself every morning is so important. It sets the tone for your decisions throughout the day. There is also great power in admitting what you do not know. Too often, pride gets in the way of growth. People pretend to know things they do not. They avoid asking questions, and they hide ignorance behind false confidence. But dishonesty in learning keeps you stuck. When you are honest about what you do not know, you open the door to knowledge. You become a student again, and students grow. Self-honesty removes pride and replaces it with humility, which is the key to wisdom. Honesty also builds trust with yourself. When you keep lying to yourself, you erode your own confidence. You stop believing your own promises. You say you will change, but you know you will not. You say you will start tomorrow, but you know you will delay again. Each broken promise damages your relationship with yourself. But when you are honest and follow through, you rebuild trust. You begin to believe yourself again, and that belief creates power. You can walk with confidence, because you know your words and actions match. Demanding honesty from yourself also protects you from regret. Regret comes when you realize you could have been more, done more, lived more, but you chose denial instead. You look back and wish you had faced the truth sooner. But if you live with honesty now, you can avoid that regret later. You will not waste years hiding from reality. You will confront it, change it, and move forward. That courage will give you peace when you look back, knowing you lived truthfully. Many people think honesty is about others, but the deepest form of honesty is with yourself. You can fool the world, but you cannot fool yourself. Late at night, when it is just you and your thoughts, you know whether you lived honestly or not. That is why self-honesty is the ultimate measure of integrity. It is not about how others see you. It is about how you see yourself. Each morning when you rise, remind yourself, I will be honest in my thoughts, my words, and my actions. I will not sugarcoat my weaknesses. I will not exaggerate my strengths. I will not hide from the truth. I will face it with courage and use it to guide my step. That daily demand for honesty creates a character that cannot be shaken. When you live this way, others notice. They may not always agree with you, but they will respect you. They will trust you because you are consistent. Most importantly, you will respect yourself. Self-respect is one of the greatest rewards of honesty. It gives you confidence, strength, and peace of mind that no amount of pretending could ever provide. So demand honesty from yourself every single day. Do not wait for someone else to call you out. Hold yourself accountable before the world does. Tell yourself the truth, even when it is uncomfortable. Take responsibility, even when it is easier to blame. Confront your flaws, admit your mistakes, and own your choices. When you live with that level of honesty, you give yourself the power to change, to grow, and to build a life of integrity and strength. Number 8, challenge yourself to stop making excuses and act today. Excuses are the chains that keep people stuck where they are. And if you want to create real change in your life, you must challenge yourself to stop making excuses and act today. Every excuse feels comfortable in the moment because it removes responsibility, but that same comfort steals your future. People say they do not have time, they do not have money, they do not have support, or they are waiting for the right opportunity. But the truth is, excuses are just delays disguised as reasons. And every delay costs you progress. If you examine your life closely, you will realize that every area where you are not where you want to be is tied to excuses you have made in the past. You said tomorrow would be the day you start, and tomorrow turned into months. You said you needed more confidence, and confidence never came because you refused to act without it. You said the conditions were not right, but conditions are never perfect for anyone. Excuses protect you from short-term discomfort, but they guarantee long-term disappointment. The difference between people who succeed and those who remain stuck is not luck. It is the decision to act in spite of challenges. Everyone has obstacles, everyone has fears, everyone has limitations, but some use them as excuses, while others use them as reasons to act even faster. The successful person looks at the same barriers and says, I will find a way. The unsuccessful person looks and says, I cannot because of this. Both are telling stories, but only one story leads to progress. Excuses are dangerous because they sound reasonable. They dress themselves up as logic. You convince yourself that your excuse makes sense, and soon you believe it so strongly that you stop questioning it. That is why you must challenge your excuses aggressively. Ask yourself, is this really true? Or am I protecting myself from discomfort? Most of the time, the excuse is not the truth. It is fear, it is laziness, or it is doubt in disguise. When you expose it for what it is, you take back your power. Acting today is the antidote to excuses. Action kills the lie that you need perfect conditions. Action proves that progress can happen now, not someday. When you take even a small step today, you build momentum, and momentum is stronger than any excuse. The hardest part is always starting. Because once you begin, you realize it was never as impossible as your mind made it seem. Think of all the opportunities people miss because of excuses. They stay in jobs they hate because they say the timing is wrong. They avoid working on their health because they say they are too busy. They hold back from leaving relationships because they say they are not ready. But years pass and they are still stuck. living in the prison built by their own justifications. If you do not act today, you risk wasting not just hours, but entire seasons of your life. One of the most powerful truths you can accept is that no excuse will ever change your reality. Only action can do that. You can explain, you can justify, you can defend, but at the end of the day, your results reflect what you did, not what you excused. The world does not reward reasons. It rewards results. And those results are earned only by the people who refuse to wait for ideal conditions. The habit of making excuses weakens you. Each time you give yourself permission to avoid action, you reinforce the idea that you are powerless. Over time, your excuses become your identity. You begin to believe you are someone who cannot follow through, who cannot commit, who cannot win. But the opposite is also true. Each time you act instead of excuse, you build a new identity. You become someone who takes responsibility, who moves forward, who makes progress. Identity is shaped by repeated choices, and the choice to act today is the most powerful one you can make. Excuses also destroy trust in yourself. You tell yourself you will do it later, but you know deep down you will not. You tell yourself you will start tomorrow, but you wake up and repeat the same cycle. Each broken promise eats away at your self-belief. Eventually, you stop taking yourself seriously. That is why breaking free from excuses matters so much. It is not just about progress. It is about rebuilding the trust you have with yourself. When you say you will do something and then act immediately, you strengthen that trust. Over time. That trust becomes unshakable confidence. The reason most people cling to excuses is fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of discomfort. But here's the truth. Fear never goes away by waiting. It only weakens when you face it. Action. Excuses keep fear alive. Action kills it. The moment you act, the fear loses its power, and you realize it was never as strong as you thought. That is why you must refuse to give fear another day to control your life. There will never be a perfect time to start. There will never be a day when everything aligns and all the risks disappear. Waiting for that day is the biggest excuse of all. If you wait for perfect, you wait forever. The right time is always now, because now is the only moment you actually have. Tomorrow is a promise, not a guarantee, and if you waste today, you may never get another chance. You must develop the discipline to act even when you do not feel like it. Excuses thrive in the gap between intention and action. You intend to start, but then your feelings convince you otherwise. If you only act when you feel motivated, you will never act consistently. But if you act regardless of how you feel, you break the cycle of excuses and build the muscle of discipline. That discipline becomes your greatest strength, because it allows you to move forward on command, not on emotion. Challenge yourself to recognize every excuse the moment it appears. When you hear yourself saying, "I do not have time," challenge it. Are you truly out of time, or are you wasting it elsewhere? When you hear yourself saying, "I am not ready," challenge it. What does ready even mean, and how much longer will you hide behind that excuse? When you hear yourself saying, "I will start later," challenge it. Why later and not now? This habit of questioning excuses exposes them as lies, and once exposed, they lose their control over you. Think about how different your life would look if you acted instead of excused. How much healthier would you be if you had acted months ago? How much closer would your goals be if you had acted years ago? How many opportunities would you have seized if you stopped hesitating? The gap between where you are and where you could be is filled with excuses. The moment you remove them, the gap closes quickly. Excuses feel safe, but they keep you small. Action feels risky, but it makes you grow. You cannot build confidence, success, or fulfillment while clinging to excuses. You must break them one by one through immediate action. The smallest step today is more valuable than the biggest plan postponed. Progress is not about perfection. It is about refusing to delay any longer. So wake up each morning and tell yourself, "I will not excuse myself out of my potential. I will not wait for tomorrow. I will not justify inaction. I will act today, no matter how small the test." That commitment, repeated daily, will transform your life. The excuses will fade, the actions will compound, and soon you will look back amazed at how far you have come, simply because you chose to act instead of delay. The truth is clear: excuses change nothing. Action changes everything, and the choice between them is always in your hands. Stop waiting, stop justifying, stop postponing. Challenge yourself to stop making excuses and act today, because your future depends on what you do now, not on what you explain later. Number 9, promise yourself to never settle for average living. Never settle for average living. Because the moment you do, you agree to waste the extraordinary potential inside you. Average is easy, average is safe, and average is comfortable. But it is also the very thing that steals greatness from people who were born to do more. The truth is, average does not demand your full effort. It only asks for just enough to get by. But getting by is not what you were made for. You were created with talents, ideas, dreams, and the ability to rise above mediocrity. Yet too many people stop short and accept a life that is far less than what they could achieve. The danger of average living is that it does not feel dangerous. It feels normal. Society rewards average by making it look acceptable. Work a job you hate, go home tired, repeat the cycle and convince yourself that this is life. But deep down, you know it is not. Deep down, there is a voice that tells you, you are meant for more. Ignoring that voice is what creates regret years later. You look back and realize that you did not fail. You simply settled. You did not run out of opportunities. You stopped reaching for them. You did not lose your potential. You traded it for comfort. Promising yourself to never settle for average living is one of the most important commitments you can make, because it sets the standard for everything you do. It means you stop accepting good enough in your work, your health, your relationships, and your personal growth. It means you no longer measure your life by the minimum requirements. Instead, you raise the bar so high that every day demands your best effort. This does not mean chasing perfection, but it does mean refusing to live below your capabilities. Average is the enemy of progress. It keeps people trapped in cycles they secretly hate. It convinces them that stability is success, when in reality, stability without growth is stagnation. If you want to live a life that matters, you must push beyond what is comfortable. Growth always happens outside of the average zone. It happens when you demand more from yourself than the world demands from you. It happens when you set goals so bold that they scare you. Because average goals will never wake up the greatness within you. You must ask yourself, what is the cost of settling? The cost is not just money. It is not just opportunity. It is your spirit. Settling makes you dull. It kills ambition. It turns your days into repetitions instead of adventures. It strips life of meaning because you are no longer pursuing purpose. You are only surviving. Every time you choose average, you trade a piece of your potential for comfort. And over time, comfort becomes a cage that locks you in. Greatness does not come to people who wait for it. It comes to people who refuse to live below their capacity. When you promise yourself to never settle, you declare that you will not let fear, doubt, or laziness dictate the quality of your life. You stop making excuses for why you cannot and start focusing on how you can. You accept that hard work, sacrifice, and resilience are the price you must pay for a life above average, and you are willing to pay it every single day. Look around and you will see countless examples of average. People walking through life without fire, without passion, without vision. They are alive, but they are not truly living. Do not let that be your story. Decide today that you will not follow the path of least resistance, because the path of least resistance always leads to average. Instead, carve your own path, one that demands your full potential and challenges you to grow constantly. You must create a vision so compelling that settling feels impossible. That vision should excite you. It should wake you up in the morning, and it should scare you enough to push you beyond your limits. Without a vision, you will always drift back to average, because average is the default state of people who have no direction. But with a vision, you refuse to drift. You choose to climb. Average living tells you to be realistic, but reality has never been shaped by those who settled. Every breakthrough, every innovation, every transformation came from someone who refused to be average. They were told it was impossible. They were told it was too much. They were told to lower their standards, but they refused. And because they refused, the world changed. You may not want to change the entire world, but you can change your world. And that begins by holding yourself to a standard higher than average. Do not confuse comfort with happiness. Many people settle because they believe comfort equals joy. But true joy does not come from avoiding challenges. It comes from conquering them. It comes from stretching yourself, from seeing progress, from becoming someone stronger than you were yesterday. Comfort fades quickly, but the satisfaction of growth lasts a lifetime. The happiest people are not the ones who settled. They are the ones who lived fully, who gave their all, who demanded greatness from themselves. When you live above average, you inspire others to do the same. Your example shows people that it is possible to break free from mediocrity. You become proof that ordinary people can create extraordinary lives. And that influence, that ripple effect, is far more valuable than anything average living can give you. But understand this, Refusing to settle is not a one-time decision. It is a promise you renew daily. Every day, you will face temptations to lower your standards, to compromise, to do just enough. And every day, you must remind yourself of your promise. You must say, I was not born to be average. I was born to be exceptional. I will not trade my potential for comfort. I will not let fear dictate my choices. I will live with purpose, with passion, and with relentless drive. Average is easy. Greatness is hard. But average leaves you empty, while greatness leaves you fulfilled. Average dies with regrets, while greatness dies with a legacy. The choice is yours. Do not let another day slip by while you accept less than what you are capable of. Promise yourself right now that you will never settle for average living. Demand more, strive higher, dream bigger, and act bolder. Because the life you want, the life that excites you, will never be found in average. It will only be found when you refuse to settle and commit to living at your highest potential every single day. Number 10, encourage yourself to believe in possibilities beyond current limits. Your potential is far greater than you realize, and every morning you must encourage yourself to believe in possibilities beyond your current limits. Too many people measure their lives by what seems achievable today, and in doing so, they cage themselves in a box far smaller than their true capacity. Possibility begins when you refuse to accept that your present circumstances define your future. Every step you take toward believing that more is possible stretches your limits and opens doors that seemed impossible yesterday. Believing in possibilities beyond your current limits requires courage, because it asks you to step into the unknown. The mind naturally resists expansion because it fears failure, judgment, and discomfort. But nothing extraordinary ever comes from staying within boundaries. You must train yourself to see beyond what is immediately visible and imagine a life that exceeds your current vision. This does not mean ignoring reality. It means using reality as a stepping stone, not a ceiling. The first step is to speak to yourself with encouragement instead of doubt. Tell yourself, I am capable of more than I see now. I can learn, I can grow, and I can reach further. These words matter because your inner voice shapes your mindset. If you consistently tell yourself that limits exist where they do not, your actions will reflect that limitation. But if you feed your mind with belief in possibility, your actions begin to reach beyond what once seemed unreachable. The words you say internally are the seeds of your achievements. Many people fail to reach their potential, not because they lack talent, resources, or intelligence, but because they refuse to believe it is possible. They look at their current situation and assume it defines the extent of their future. They see obstacles and allow them to become permanent walls. But possibilities exist beyond obstacles, and they reveal themselves to those willing to believe and persist. Every time you encounter difficulty, remind yourself that the challenge is not a boundary, but a test of your belief in what you can achieve. Belief in possibility also fuels persistence. When you encounter setbacks, the mind of someone limited collapses into excuses, complaints, and giving up. But the mind of someone who believes in possibility asks, what can I do differently? What can I learn? How can I move forward? Possibility transforms failure from a stop sign into a signal for adaptation. It allows you to see each obstacle as temporary, a learning experience, or a stepping stone, rather than a permanent barrier. Encouraging yourself to believe in possibilities beyond current limits requires imagination grounded in action. Dreaming without doing is fantasy, and action without belief is wasted effort. The two must work together. You must envision a reality beyond what you currently experience. Then take consistent steps to reach it. Each small step stretches your limits, builds confidence, and proves to yourself that what once seemed impossible is achievable. The momentum of action feeds the belief in possibility. The people who achieve extraordinary results are not always the most talented or lucky. They are the ones who refuse to accept the limits placed on them by others or by circumstance. They saw possibilities that others ignored. They acted when others hesitated. They believed when others doubted. Your capacity to believe in possibility determines how far you will go. If you set your sights on the horizon, your horizon expands with every step. If you settle for what is easy or familiar, your limits shrink over time. Possibility also shifts the way you respond to fear. Fear tells you to stay safe, to avoid risk, and to accept your current level. But when you embrace the idea that more is possible, fear becomes a signal to act, not a reason to stop. It reminds you that you are moving toward growth. Each act of courage expands your comfort zone and redefines what is achievable. Believing in possibilities transforms fear from an obstacle into a guide. Another critical truth is that possibilities often exist outside your current circle of influence or knowledge. You may not see the solution or opportunity at first, but by believing that it exists, you open your mind to creativity, learning, and connection. The person who believes in possibilities looks for answers, explores options, and experiments. The person who does not believe in possibility waits for life to deliver it perfectly packaged. The difference between progress and stagnation lies in the willingness to see and pursue what is possible beyond current limits. Belief in possibility also changes your expectations of yourself. People who accept limits often operate at a fraction of their potential. They avoid challenges, do not stretch, and justify mediocrity. But when you believe in possibility, you hold yourself accountable to higher standards. You ask more of yourself, push further, and demand growth. The daily actions of someone who believes in possibilities are intentional, focused, and aligned with their vision. Belief shapes standards, and standards shape results. You must also protect this belief daily. Doubt, criticism, and negative influences can erode your perception of possibility. People will tell you what cannot be done, what is unrealistic, or what is impossible. You must filter these voices and strengthen your inner conviction. Possibility is nurtured in the mind first. The more you encourage yourself to imagine beyond limits, the more natural it becomes to act beyond limits. Thoughts lead to choices, and choices lead to results. Every morning, remind yourself of the infinite potential within you. Reflect on the times in your past when you exceeded expectations, learned faster than you imagined, or achieved more than you thought possible. Use these memories as proof that limits are often self-imposed. Every success, no matter how small, is evidence that you can push beyond your current boundaries. Reinforcing this belief daily creates a mindset of expansion. Belief in possibilities also inspires creativity. When you refuse to accept limits, you begin to see opportunities where others see walls. You consider solutions others overlook. You imagine new ways to achieve your goals. This creative mindset is essential because achieving beyond limits often requires inventiveness. Belief in possibility is not passive optimism. It is an active, problem-solving orientation toward life. The mindset of possibility also attracts opportunities. People gravitate toward those who act boldly and believe in expansion. When you approach life with confidence that more is possible, you notice doors that others miss. You speak with energy that engages others, and you make connections that elevate your trajectory. Your belief in what could be draws resources, mentors, and allies toward you. Encouraging yourself to believe in possibilities beyond your current limits requires discipline. Some mornings you will wake up tired, discouraged, or skeptical. Your circumstances may feel confining, and the world may seem resistant. That is precisely when you must speak to yourself and remind yourself, my potential is greater than my present circumstances, and the limits I perceive today do not define my tomorrow. Repeating this daily rewires your mind to accept growth, risk, and expansion as natural. The most successful people in every field reached extraordinary heights because they refused to see limits where they could act. They believed in more, stretched their capabilities, and kept moving forward, despite setbacks. Your path is no different. By cultivating belief in possibilities, you build resilience, creativity, courage, and momentum. Every action you take confirms to yourself that limits are temporary and growth is constant. So every morning, encourage yourself to believe in possibilities beyond current limits. Speak it aloud, write it down, feel it in your chest, and act accordingly. Push a little further, reach a little higher, and challenge what you think is possible. Your limits are not walls, they are starting points. Life expands for those who believe, and nothing in this world can stop a person who refuses to be confined by current limitations. Your potential is waiting, and the possibilities are limitless if you choose to see, believe, and act today.